This is lesson 14.3, Measure and Compare Angles. It is found on pages 675 through 678 in your workbooks. So have you ever heard about the website conjunctivitis.com? Yeah, conjunctivitis.com. Have you ever heard of it? It's a site for sore eyes. Maybe you'll get it someday, maybe you won't. Moving along regardless. So our learning target in this lesson will be to measure and compare angles, and as always, at the end of the lesson, I hope you can do it on your own. Well, our look back says, use pattern blocks to help estimate the measure of each angle, and here's what those pattern blocks would look like. So I actually had to look up the measure of these pattern blocks. This one in the upper left, this is 45 degrees. Now, that sky circle, yeah, that's that sky circle. That circle or that zero that's right above the 5, that's not a zero, that's a degree mark. That's called the degree mark, right? So we would put 45 degrees. All right, so let's go through each of these. So this one we've got 90 degrees. This one is 30. Now this one, it's almost a straight line, but not quite. We're going to say it's 170. And then our last one here is 120. All right, so let's go back and put them in there. So we got 90, 30, 170, and then 120. Alrighty. And then our look ahead says classify each angle. Circle the angle that has the greatest measure and put an X to the angle that has the least measure. Alright, so angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, and angle 5. Here is what each of those angles will be. So angle 1 is acute, angle 2 is right, angle 3 is acute, angle 4 and 5 are obtuse. Alright, so here's what this means. An acute angle is less than 90. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. So acute, less than 90. Obtuse, greater than 90. Alright? And it's actually greater than 90 and less than 180. Acute would be greater than 0 and less than 90. Alright, so let's go on to our key concept, measure and draw angles. Our first example, we're going to find the measure of the angle. First thing we do is we line up the vertex. So here's our vertex right here. Line up the side of the angle. Here's our side right here. And then read the measure of the angle. So we would measure it right here. So because it's less than 90 degrees, right? I mean, if it was 90 degrees, it'd be here. So because it's less than 90 degrees, we read these smaller numbers. So that would be a measure of 76 degrees. And when we draw an angle, it's basically the same thing. We draw the vertex on one side, so we draw the vertex and they line up one side when you measure it. Well, when you draw it, you draw one side, right? And then you line up the vertex, just right there, and then mark and draw the second side of the angle. Here's how they do it, just like that. All right, well, let's go on to some in-class practice. In 1 and 2, we're going to find the measure of the angle. All right, and here's what it looks like. So we've got our protractor that's on our template. We're lining up that one side. That's right here, lining up that one side, and then we measure our angle here. Well, what is that? It's between the 80 and the 90, and it's almost at 85, so let's say that it's 85 degrees. So going back here, we're going to say 85 degrees. All right, so again, it's less than 90. We have to be able to know that, hey, this is less than a 90 degree angle. So it's not going to be in the 100s. It's going to be in the 80s. All right, so it'll be going this way when we measure it. All right, and then number two measures like this, and we do the same thing. So we have our template. Line up one side at the 0, and then we're looking at our arrow there. What is it pointing toward? Well, it's slightly more than 140, so I'm going to say, let's say 143. So 143. Now when we do an angle like this, if you said 141 or 142, I'm okay with that. Just understand that it's at the 140, right? It's at the 140. It's not at 150 going this way. It's 140 going this way. Alrighty. Well, like I said before, drawing an angle is basically the same way, except you're drawing it instead of measuring it. So let's do the 130 first, and let me draw this with some colored lines. I'm going to have the angle here first. Alright, so here's that colored line. We're having it at 0, and then we need to line it up with 130. Well, here's 130. Here's 130. So let's draw a line at 130, and here's what it'll look like. Alright, so that is what your angle should look like on number 3. Alright, and then on number 4, it wants us to draw a 60-degree angle. Well, let me put my angle that's here, or my line that's here. So I've got it pointed toward the 0, and then I want one that's going to be at the 60-degree angle, and here's what that's going to look like. Alright, that's what our 60-degree angle looks like. So, number 5 is a test prep. It asks which angle has the greatest measure. Well, here's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to mark this one out, because I know that that one has the smallest, right? That one has the smallest opening. So I'm going to measure each of these. So again, you put one of them at a 0, and then measure this one. Alright, go ahead and do that, and then we'll go over it. Alright, letter D you should have chosen. Alrighty, number 6 and 7 wants you to draw an angle with the given measure. Alright, I want you to go ahead and draw number 6. Draw number 6, and then I'll show you what it should look like. Alright, so it should look like this. Alright, so something like that is what the 53-degree angle should look like. Alright, go ahead and draw the 120-degree angle, and I'll show you what it should look like. Alright, this is what the 120-degree angle should look like. Alright, so something close to that is what it should look like. Okay, let's go on to number 8. Why does one side of the angle you are measuring have to be lined up with the straight side of the protractor? And here's what I'm going to say. The straight side marks the 0 ray of the angle. So this ray right here, that's the 0 ray of the angle, and that's why we line it up there. Alright. Number 9 is precision. Newton says that the measure of angle ABC, so this ABC angle, is 130 degrees. Explain what he did wrong. Alright, I hope you see that. See that he measured that wrong, because that's obviously less than 90 degrees, isn't it? Alright, so here's what I'm going to say. Because it is an acute angle, the measure should be 50 degrees, not 130. So I want number 10, the matching. I want it to be a Jolly Rancher moment. It says match the angles with their order from least measure to the greatest measure. Alright, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put the numbers right underneath. Right? So, in other words, If this one is the least, then it should be number 1, right? If, let's say, this one is the greatest, it should be number 4, okay? So go ahead and do that, and then I will check it and we'll go over it. All right, here's the order they should be in. Right, this one's the least. This one is in 2nd place. This was in 3rd place. This was in 4th place because it's the biggest. All right, so hopefully a lot of you got that. Hopefully you can say I can compare the measures of angles. All right, let's connect this to real life. Our example says, classify each angle of the skateboard ramp, then order the angles from least measure to the greatest measure, right? So they've got A here, B here, and C here, all right? Angle A opens more than a right angle and less than a straight angle. See, opens more. It is an obtuse angle. Angle B here is a right angle. Angle C opens less than a right angle, so it is an acute angle. So the angles in order from least measure to greatest measure are angle C, least, angle B, next, and angle A would be the greatest. Alrighty, keeping that in mind, I want you to read and solve number 11. Alright, let's go over this. The flag of the Czech Republic is shown. Circle the angle that has the greatest measure. So this one is pretty big here. What is that? AFC. There we go. AFC. Number 12 says, name another angle in the flag of the Czech Republic that has the same measure as the angle you circled in exercise 11. Alright, I want you to go ahead and find that one. Go ahead and do that, and then we'll go over it. Alright, did you pick EFC? EFC. Now, here's the angle thing too, by the way. When you want to say angle, that's how you say angle in math. So let me erase that and let it. That's how you say angle in math. So angle EFC. Notice that that middle letter has to be in the middle of the angle name. Alright, our dig deeper. How many different angles are in the window? Name all of the different angles. Which angle has the greatest measure? Alright, well, here's what I'm going to say, because this is pretty difficult. So here's what I'm going to say. 10 angles. Oh my goodness. And here's the name of those angles. That's a lot of angles, isn't it? Yeah, 10 different angles, right? And notice that that all of them have F as the center, right? Like AFB, BFC, BFC, right? And I'm not going to do all of them, but like, let's do one that's bigger. We got AFD here. Okay, and then EFB here. So lots of different angles. Alrighty, and which has the greatest measure? Which one has the greatest? Here it is. Angle AFE, right here. Otherwise known as what? A straight line. That's right. Well, let's go back to our learning target. Measure and compare angles. Hopefully you can do that on your own. You can use a protractor to measure an angle. You can use a protractor to draw an angle. And you can compare the measures of angles. You can do that all on your own. And look, I love you. If you're still in a number 2, I'll be glad to help you. All you need to do is ask. And those of you who are at a level 4, you can help your peers out. All right, y'all have a good day.